Okay, I hope everyone's having a good weekend. Let's go ahead and start our live stream. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at our markets. I haven't checked out crypto yet. Not really doing much. It's the only real market we have, trading right now. It's trying to, define. I think crypto's trying to define. Is it ready to just kind of make this kind of one last, plunge lower, or is it going to yet again make a bigger connector and complicate and muddy the waters for our correction? Because as you know, the longer and the more complex, the bounces in this area, right, it will either extend the connector for this entire wave, which would result in prices down around the lower end of this box, 28, 32,000. It could just end now. We get to 48,000, my original kind of number I had in mind. Or, the market does something even more sinister and bounces, has a considerable bounce, corrects this three legs, but gets rejected, somewhere around maybe 88,000, 89,000. And then the box is invalidated and we have to project a new target, which gets us down probably to below 20,000. And so what's happening is basically buyers are coming in too soon and they're going to get jammed up. And they're the ones that will panic through these support areas. And that's how this happens. They buy the dip too soon without allowing proper capitulation. We could have had that on Friday. If, people would have just stepped aside, we could have got that, like if we just need that final flush, and I think you would have got all the sellers out of the market. But now all of a sudden, with this kind of rally, it's going to trap a bunch of new people, and the sellers are going to say, oh, whoa, wait a minute, we still have interest. If I can sell Bitcoin at 69, maybe I could sell it at 80,000 or 88. So they're going to just back off and see if they can lure in more buyers. And that's what these rallies do. They prevent the sellers from fully, capitulating or selling their supply they need to sell. So that's what's going on in crypto, guys. But the decision hasn't been made. And perhaps on our live stream, we'll see it resolve, right, one way or the other. So we've had an interesting day in the market overall. Last week, we had, especially on Thursday and Friday, we had a very interesting week with a lot of wild swings in the market, especially with how we ended. And one of the biggest things that I'd like to mention with the Dow Jones, what this reminded me of, and again, we can worry about the count, right? We don't trade the count on our channel. The count is a way for us to communicate possibilities and paths and probabilities. That's how we communicate. That's our language we speak. Now, this and what just happened here reminded me, I was reflecting on the situation on Friday, reminded me of the Russell right here. Kind of did the same thing, right? Because I remember trading it, right? Right, we knew the Russell was going to collapse, right? It was just, and so it did some kind of, spring, but to the downside. It was the opposite of of what you see at a bottom. So it's kind of just trying to shake out the last shorts, I guess, and chase and trap people is kind of the last push. I think the Dow is doing something like that right now. Okay. Now, it was a really interesting post that I shared on my X feed that it's really important, I think, to read. The Dow is a price-weighted average. It's not a market cap weighted average, price weighted, and so it doesn't move in proportion to the magnitude of the decline in terms of market cap of stocks. So when you looked at the overall market cap of the stocks that had declined with big cap tech, we're talking, I think it had something like around $20 trillion loss or something. And then when you look at the Dow Jones, while it went up 2%, it was really driven by four stocks that really only make up a market cap of $2 trillion, not the 20 trillion. And so because it's price weighted, this could reverse even more violent. So it has really no relation. So this is a very distorted like way to measure the health of the market in percentage basis is all I'm saying, if you try to compare it to the others because of the way it's weighted. Very interesting. You should read the post. This guy explained it better than I could. Now, where are we? The Dow Jones could be right here. We could be right here. We may even be right here. We just don't know. We don't know. But this is I think is what's happening. Right? This is what's happening in the Dow Jones. And then it peaked, and as you can see, the Russell essentially just went straight down for almost the rest of the year. So the Dow's probably doing something very similar here. Why don't we show a big breakout like now? Because you can't get to these levels without big cap tech participation. Big cap tech is not leading anymore. In fact, no sector is leading, right? You only had in this indice 4 individual stocks, not even a sector. You have, if you go through the ETFs one by one, the only one that I think I remember seeing at all-time high peak would be XLI, leadership with some bearish divergence. But that is not going to take the market to the promised land. The industrials are limited into its potential valuation as well. And you have to ask yourself, why are the industrials going parabolic? Right? It doesn't make a lot of sense either. But that's the situation we have. And then we have, of course, staples and everything else. And they're not going to be able to lead the market to these kind of levels. You need to have that big cap tech AI trade. Has to get going. You need Nvidia at all-time highs. You need Amazon at all-time highs. You need Tesla. And you need, Microsoft and all these other stocks. And if you can't get that, then mathematically this can't happen. Or if your indice, your favorite indice is the SPY, this can't happen. Sure, maybe we can go a little bit higher, but this you're not getting an extension. It's just not going to happen. So you're on borrowed time. So I think if you really want to step back and look at the market, the best strategy at this point is rallies are to be used to raise cash, sell and take profit, build bearish positions, and play the long game in this distribution process, because at some point it will roll over. It's not likely to surge higher, no matter the count. So you get lost in the count and the whipsaw, but the bigger picture still remains. The bigger picture, right, is likely if we could go into the future several months, we're probably going to be down here and we're not going to be up here. Okay, how we get there can be very erratic, like we saw last week. It can come back down. It can even come back up, but eventually the trend will assert itself down, because there's only so much room these non-growth sectors can push, value sectors can push. There's only so much that it can do, because then value doesn't become value anymore, and then the fundamental investor will leave that trade, right? And that's the end of that. We also see in the metals a breakdown. In silver making this low has a failed cycle now. Again, it can do a lot of different things, right? I wouldn't get caught up in the count. It could even make a flat on B. It can make an expanded flat. We've seen these connectors do some crazy things, but you have a failed cycle now. You have a 5-wave move with a rise and a failed cycle. So there is a high degree of probability this silver is going to revisit lower lows later. And it will more than likely go sub 50, probably go back into the $40 range. Now, the problem is, when is that going to happen? Everyone wants it to happen now, but the market won't work like that. But until that happens, that's also telling you the market may be bearish and the dollar index may be ready for more upside. And that will be your market pullback, more than likely. That will be your market pullback. That's going to be your market pullback. So guys, that's the situation we find ourselves in. All right. So the market has got this weird, kind of interesting setup, but right now it's desperate to try to keep it alive. But eventually the firepower will be lost. The market will, and that will correct. It's just inevitably gonna happen. Then at that point in time, when the correction is finally work itself out, then the market has a chance to have full alignment, because big cap tech will be in areas of massive support. Strong hands will come back in. And then you could have a rally like we had today, but with big cap tech participation, and double that. That would be up 5% in one day. That's what's going to happen as the melt up happens. Because big cap tech will have to lead us through that melt up. And that's what we have to look forward to. And if that can't happen, right? If that doesn't happen, then that means big cap tech has peaked in the grand super cycle, and you're going to have a biblical collapse in technology stocks. What do we look for? What's the clue to tell us that that is happening in technology? Well, there's a couple of things. There's some levels we're looking at, some key levels, as well as the April lows on semiconductors and Nvidia. That will be a dagger through the heart of the technology trade. And you may say, well, Nvidia is a sure bet. There's nothing that can go wrong with Nvidia. It's an infinite money tree. It's a money tree, right? It's a money tree that I can just continue to make money because they have infinite demand, right? I call it, the infinite money glitch that I know about and no one else does. But the problem is it's got a monopoly for now. But the minute the market realizes it may not have this monopoly for whatever reason, it could easily unravel. And also, it may not even be the monopoly, right? All they need is the hyperscalers to stop ordering for whatever reason. And if most of their demand for their product is concentrated in a few big hyperscalers, well, their revenue will collapse overnight. What if they front loaded their revenue, their demand, before the orders have been delivered? What if they can't? What if those orders get canceled because the economy slows down or there's uncertainty on AI? What if those orders aren't materialized? What's going to happen? They'll have to slash their earnings forecasts, and it would be it will be like cutting not just the fat meat off the bone, right? They will just collapse instantly on that. 30 or 40% stock price drop, easy. Then the other risk is, what if the hyperscalers decide they want to start building chips themselves, like Apple did to Intel, and then they collapse? What if they just said, you know what, we're going to do it ourselves. We don't need Nvidia. They're not a monopoly anymore. That can happen, right? And then there's always export restriction risk. So just Nvidia's story is not this infinite money glitch, guys. It will eventually end. I think it's not going to end yet, but if it were to end like that, that would pop the tech bubble and also AI bubble, and you'll see a massive unwind of biblical proportions, and you'll see panic like you've never seen before. But we have a question on Nvidia, so we're going to go into that later. So I think that's all I want to say in the markets. Let's go into your questions, guys. Let's go into your questions, and I appreciate everybody that are subscribed and you're enjoying the service. Please get the word out. Please get the word out and try to, encourage people to give us a try. I've added on my screen, you can see at the bottom right-hand corner, my website. I've been working on it, www.ewsage.com, ewsage.com. I'll pull it up real quick. You can see here, I've added some sections at the top. Some education sections, so like how Elliott wave works, right? And you can read through that. Elliott wave structures explained. You can read through that on your own time. Talk about my trading system, very easy to follow. I made it very simple. This is not a complex system that you need an advanced degree. You do not need to be an engineer, a techie, a STEM major to subscribe. This service I've created is for the everyday man and woman, and the layman is not. You do not need to be an expert. That's why everything is laid out the way it is. Okay, live analysis, success stories, of course, and then some links to my material. I will expand and add a couple more categories. One of the things I'm going to add to the website is going to be a way to schedule education sessions with me one-on-one. So you can purchase like a 1 hour block of time, and I will, go through whatever you want, or your question or ask, as well as education. So I'm going to set that up through the website soon, and then you'll be able to just go on it and schedule it, and then I'll show up and we'll talk. Okay, so that's how that's a new feature will come soon, and that's like a one-on-one. Like someone asked on my X feed, I got a lot of questions about my system, is new, doesn't know things. So I don't mind spending time, with an education session. But remember, I'm not a financial advisor. I can't tell you what to buy and sell. I'll never say that. So, if you're hoping for that, I won't be able to tell you. But I can tell you about Elliott wave theory, how to maybe label the charts. What does this all mean? If you do need assistance, if after you go to my website, you still don't understand. So that's what that's going to be there for. Okay. But that'll be coming in the coming month or so. But it's going to take, I have to set that up. So yeah, I do all my own website work. Okay. So let's go to your questions now, guys. All right. Now, requested stocks. Start with the top. Qubit. This quantum computing. Well, quantum computing did break its pivots across the sector. This is another sign that says more weakness is coming in this kind of risk. I call it the risky. There's got to be a better word than the pump stocks. But in the summer everything was pumping. There's a group of stocks, the Sound Hounds, all those they're pumped. Well, I consider them like a basket of like momentum, stocks that were just hyped up. Those stocks are correcting. They're not at lows. And now quantum has a lower low. That kind of implies more downside is coming with that group. Because if quantum goes down, the AI goes down, they kind of all interrelate, right? They all, if you notice, it wasn't a coincidence when this happened, crypto dumped and everything else dumped. AMD dumped, right? They're all dumped. Well, guess what's going to happen when this happens? They're all going to dump again. That's what's going to happen. But we always say it's never a straight line down. Right now, it looks like you've got some kind of 5-wave move down from this low. So more than likely, we're just probably in a 2-wave as of now. And we'll go lower. So in this 2-wave, how high can it go? It can come all the way back. Now, there's probably a lot of chart resistance right around 1029. So, but we are looking for more downside. Okay, we're looking for more downside. Did it make 5 waves up on the shortest time frame? Well, the first thing is I never look at the shortest time frame to make any trade in position. Okay, it's just boxes. So the only thing I care about on a bounce like this is it in 3 waves or not. If you look at that, that's not 3 waves. Okay, it's not. So you have 5 waves down, you're going to need a 3-wave bounce. So it's likely, whether it's 5 up or 3 up, and we'll look at that in a minute, it's likely to do this. Okay? Now, when it does that, that's a short opportunity. Not a long anymore. It's got a lower low. It's a short. You short this area now, right here, until you get to the box. After you see a clear 3-wave setup. You don't short it here. You wait. So that's what I look at. Now to answer your question, is it 5 waves up? It actually looks like 5 waves up to me. Yeah. Looks like 5 waves up. So it's probably going to do a ABC, something like this. I would look for something like that. That's what I'm thinking. Okay. Only other path could be a flat, but you see there's 5 waves, and we already saw flats wouldn't end with divergence typically, where this is an ABC. If this is a B wave, it has to be in 3. It looks like 5. I mean, you can count it right in front of you, right here. I mean, it's 5. So it's probably not a flat. So to me, this is just a no trade area. I would be waiting patiently on the sidelines for quantum to do something like this. And when it does that, I'll be like, oh, okay, time to short. Time to short. And then they'll probably all be a short. So you have to pick the right one. And the one that has the most downside opportunity will be the one you want to pick. All right, Nvidia is the next question. super bearish scenario, likelihood of it happen. Well, I think the super bearish scenario, first, let's look at our primary scenario on Nvidia. Has always been this 1 2 1 2 count, okay, and then more upside like I show. And you're like, oh, that's a perma-bull count. Yeah, maybe it is, but the alternative is actually almost unbelievable to even be contemplated by anyone in the marketplace, right? It would have to be a massive catastrophe, almost like a fraud. Like you would have to have an Enron or like situation with this comp. There's no other way to get the bearish case that I'm about to show you, unless it's some kind of counting fraud that blows up a scandal beyond biblical proportions, something massive. That's the only way I can contemplate this. Or we're in a Great Depression, like nuclear war just broke out all over the planet and no one cared. AI is the least of our worries and no one's buying these anymore. So we'll go to our chart, long range charts. I have to see if I have the right one here. Yeah, this is the right one, I think. Yep. Okay, so we have 1 and 2. This is from the .com bubble. So you can't even see it, but you can. I promise you it's there. It's a 1 and 2. Then you have actually 3 and 4, that 19 and 18. And then this whole thing is wave 5. Right? Maybe 5 ended here, likely in the flat, like I still show you. And then you have a biblical crash, probably come all the way back down to $25, $20. That's the most bearish view I can think of. Okay, so how does it get to that? How do we end up in that kind of catastrophe, right? Why did I even contemplate this? Well, here's your peak RSI in 3. You see? That's your 3. That's your 4. You're making higher lows. And then look at the bearish divergence playing out. So someone would just say it's just going to go do that. And that's the end. Well, why would it do that? I don't know why. Maybe for the 3 reasons I said earlier. Maybe another reason. So you see, once we break that trend line, that scenario may come into play. Now we have room. We probably have a little bit more room we could correct, but not a lot. And that would end the 2022 cycle. And there's no other count that I can contemplate that other than what I just showed you. Now the level, we would correct this cycle. Now the level is the level, right? Where is the right level? So that's the tough part. But if it's a parabola blow off, it would 236. So that's 50. But you really have very little chart support here. I'm looking at the long-term trend line. It's tagged it. It tagged it. Maybe it tags it again. So that's probably the most bearish scenario I can think of. And I suspect if that bearish scenario plays out, we have to break the April lows here. However, you can see the distance we have to travel. We'll break that monthly trend line long before we break those lows. This is the price level. Our entry, our box, right, is right around 143, 127 in this area. So we probably could go a little lower and hold that monthly trend line I just showed you. I'm willing to bet if Nvidia hits this box, the monthly is going to hit that trend line at the same time. I'm willing to bet that. And then the monthly will bounce on the trend line, RSI, and this will bounce. That's the ideal setup. If we break through, then the monthly trend line's been breached, and likely we're not going to be bouncing here. We're likely coming all the way down. We'll breach the trend line. We'll maybe bounce one more time, and then it's lights out. So that's kind of the path on Nvidia. So that's the question. So the likelihood of it happening would be if the grand super cycle is over. And since we don't think it's over yet, because I don't consider the perma bear chart, this is a perma bear chart, but but it is a legitimate Elliott wave chart. I mean, there's nothing wrong. And I even used my RSI to calibrate it using my own system. So this is not just legitimate. I mean, I could label it this way. The reason I don't do that is because it's still not confirmed. It's still in the bull market. So I'm giving it a benefit of doubt, and I'm saying it's probably going to go 1 2 1 2 and erase divergence and extend and surprise people. That's what I'm saying based on what I see. But once we see a change, we'll flip, and we flip. And I don't care. I don't have any attachment to Nvidia. I could care less about Nvidia. To me, it's just 4 letters. I know, but I know there's a lot of people that have personal attachment to it, and they don't want to hear this. But I'm just telling you, you better pay attention because you could lose a lot of money. And again, I don't know why it would do it. I don't know the fundamental driver. But obviously, for that to happen, there must be a massive fundamental debacle that will happen, a massive one. And I think to get to $20 or lower, you must have to have accounting shenanigans that blow up in his face. And he just fell under the political pressure, the pressure of society to keep delivering earnings. And he just kind of, maybe bend the rules, went into the gray area of accounting rule, whatever, but the cash flow doesn't hide, and then something happens off. We don't know. I think the biggest risk to Nvidia is forward recognition of earning, of revenue, and counting it as booked revenue, but it's orders in advance. So like taking orders in advance from the hyperscalers and then booking that as revenue, as earnings. But the money hasn't, and maybe they built inventory to maybe they made it and built the inventory, but it's not been, so the cash hasn't come in. That, and then those people all cancel. They all cancel because the market turns. And then they have to write it all off, or the guidance drops like a rock. That is probably the biggest black swan that I can realistically think of that could happen to this company. Other than that, there's just wild guesses. All right, NEO. NEO, we've kind of charted this. We still think it's got another leg lower. And the thing is, if oil has bottomed, this is going to find pressure to go higher because it kind of trades, with the oil cycle. But I do think Hang Seng has another low. So I think this should happen pretty soon. Okay, so then we want to stay above this low. The structure looks incomplete, right? 1 2 3, a connector. 1 2. You're missing one. You need 3. Now someone could put 3 here, but I think that's not intellectually honest. I mean, it's too small. So one more. Now, could we be an X? I don't think so, the way we bottomed here. So you have my view on that. BLNE looks like it's trying to do a flat on this 4 and do a double correction on 4. So that's my guess here. So I don't think that bottomed here, potentially looking at it. I think it's going to try to do a flat here. And you may have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for one more push down. Something like this. But as you know with flats, this can be a 1, 2, 1, 2, and it can go deeper. But we don't want it to go too deep if it's a 4. You see how it's really only 3 waves. So I think I would be looking for something like that in BLNE. GUR pullback target. GUR, we had to make some changes to the chart based on the data we've seen. So again, we had a really big 3-wave move for W, and now we have another 3-wave move for X, and now we need another 3-wave move. So we're probably in this bounce now. This X, it shouldn't. You don't want. It's not going to likely not do this. Now it may come back to backtest 14. That is possible. But where's the target from here? Right? Where's the target from here? Tough. It's really tough. You're going to have to look at the chart and try to use chart support. You have no real chart support maybe until you get to like this area here, maybe $5, somewhere around there, maybe a higher, $6. So you're not going to be able to get a target on something like this. You're just going to have to ride the wave down and let it capitulate. You see all that divergence? That's not good. And let's take a look here. That's not good here either because you made a lower low. you're still in the downturn. So yeah, I mean, to me, it's pretty straightforward. More downside. If someone had to ask me, where do we see it going? I'm thinking $6. I'm thinking that type of area of support, and then perhaps it can find a better low there. Okay. MSTR. The question is, I see MSTR pulling back to sub 90. Do you think that's going even lower than that? My target on that will be about 60. So yes. So the answer to your question, yes. Why did I pick 60? Chart support. Look, you guys got to always use the charts because look, there's no chart support here, right? It's just going to be a waterfall sell-off in this general area, right until you get to about 65. And then major support will emerge. So that's likely where it's going. How it gets there could be very erratic. I do like to short it in 3 waves. However, this is only done 3 so far, based on what I can tell. So there's possibility, a small chance, that this is an A, B, C. This would be the crypto does a bigger bounce, like crypto goes to 89,000 like I showed earlier. This will do this. And then, of course, create a massive short opportunity. Could it happen? It can easily happen. We've seen that so many times on this channel, the whipsaw. The first clue will be watching crypto break those highs I showed earlier. That will follow, So again, you don't short in the hole. It's too late to short down here. It's too late. You got to wait for a better setup. But do I think it's going to go lower? Sure. And this is just kind of the more conventional view, right? It can do a lot of other things. I have this box here for a reason because I'll keep an eye on it. If I wake up one day and we're up here, then I will be looking at short opportunities, okay? And then what probably happened is our neckline is kind of shifted, right? And it's probably just making a right shoulder is what it's doing. So one or the other. Tilray's question is, Tilray and MSOS, all right. Well, again, I can't tell you what to do about how to short it or not to zero. All we know is we don't short an instrument until it breaks lower lows. So like our system, we wouldn't really get aggressive shorting it until it breaks 336. We always assume the advance is bullish and the trend, the larger trend is higher. So we wouldn't really short something like that. But if you really wanted to short it, you just want to find 3 waves. A nice 3-wave area. So again, whether it breaks the pivot is irrelevant. I mean, if it did break it, and again, I may have been wrong because I didn't really look at it that close, but I guess it didn't break it. So if it didn't break it, well, then that's good for the bulls actually, not the bears, because then you could have just a 3-wave decline. Now we're looking for 5 waves down. Yeah, I mean, maybe it's mislabeled, but I don't think so. I mean, so I still think it has another low. That doesn't change the fact. But as you can see, breaking this level is irrelevant because once you break that level, you're going to have an A, a B, and then a C. And that correction could be over. So shorting this could be very dangerous. The better trade would be to wait. Or potentially wait for a clearer 3-wave setup if you want to short. If you believe in that, and I won't argue with that belief, then what you want to wait for is a relief rally that looks something like this. When you see this on your screen, there's your short, right? That's your short. Right now, you don't have that. We never would trade and short this short of a time frame. Look, here you could see, you can't even see the waves here. So this is nothing we would ever entertain. It is way too risky. So this is why I always say as a trader, you can't you have to be able to go in and out of other symbols. While one symbol is jammed up, you gotta either wait, which could be weeks, and not do anything, or go look through the library and menu of symbols and go trade something else that is in a setup and then come back to it later. So with Tilray, I'd recommend just coming back to it later, and perhaps a short setup will emerge again. And if it does, great, you would take it. If it doesn't, well, then it doesn't, you know. And I still believe, though, the right side to be on this trade until we break the low, the all-time low is long, because we show 5 up, and Elliott wave theory says you gotta finish in 3s, okay, not 5s. So this tells us the trend is higher, and it may need another swing. So that's the reason. So that's the idea. Okay. If you're looking to short these to 0, I mean, my best, and it could very well go to 0, right? Most likely path for me would be something like this. And then when we're here, the go to 0 goes into the conversation right here. Either you go to 0 at that moment, because now the move is done, the corrective move is over. Now you can go to 0, or it doesn't, and it's in a new bull market, and it is what it is. Can it go to 0 from here? It'd be highly unusual because of the way we bounced. Then I would be wrong. This would be wrong up here. Something went wrong with my label, and so if it just went to 0 from here, then something with this analysis went wrong. And I can be wrong. That's why I say, hey, I can be wrong. I mean, I'm not saying I can't be. So, all right. Next question is ETH appears to be going lower. I see SBET making new lows. If SBET makes a macro lower low, how would this affect the larger account? Okay, so it is heading lower, like we show here. The question is, in this wave, is 3 here and 4? And then we just need one more low and 5, or is this another 1 and 2? Okay, right now it's just another bounce, and it could go either way. So the question, that's a huge question. Now we know with ETH, I don't think we're at our lows yet, right? I mean, right, obviously, right, with what I just said about crypto. But what's the count on ETH now? Well, ETH, we had this 1-2-1-2 setup. Now we had this book flush. So a couple things can happen as it's jammed up in this flat. I look at our overall, where's our target? Where do I think, based on my experience, it's going? Somewhere around this A wave low. Somewhere around here. Somewhere around $1,000. So if you look at where we were, we got to 1728. Is there enough swings in 4s and 5s to get us down to $1,000? I think there is. So I think I go with this label. So a 4, a 5, a 4, and a 5. And then we're down in our area, our target area. Okay. So something like that. Now, could this be another 1, 2? Sure. But then that more than likely would set you up for like $400. So it seems unbelievable, but that's what it would do. So we don't think that. So we think 4s and 5s. So now we can go back to SBET and get a better idea, right? SBET says, where are we? So if we look at this, now I look at this structure here, you know, maybe it's just got that, right? And then 5 makes the 4s and 5s. So maybe that's the right call. You did erase a lot of divergence there. So I suspect it's going to do everything it can to hold this low right here. But if that low breaks, we've talked about this before, that becomes a go to 0 stock typically. Now, we know with go to 0s, they can have hell of relief rallies in the connector wave. So we already know that. So it doesn't mean like it goes instantly to 0. It just means the chart's broken on the bull. Like if you're like, I'm going to buy this and give it to my great-great-grandkids, it's probably not going to work out. But can I trade it? Yes. If we break this low, it will likely still capitulate like I have here, and then it will have a massive relief rally. But that relief rally will be doomed at some point in the future and it'll go even lower. Now, the question is, how low can it go? How would it affect the larger count? So the larger count in SBET, if I try to zoom out, we don't, this is essentially has been a go to zero. Now we're just labeling it from the beginning, right? When it started here. So if we break this low, we have 5 waves up. So what we have here was just a connector, right? This would be an A, B, C, right? And then you would have a W, and then an X and a Y. And this X, and again, all the way up there, and then you're in Y. And this started all the way from the beginning of the founding of the company. So we're in this corrective structure. This was just a corrective bounce. That's how it affects the bigger structure. So we would morph it into that, and then the Y wave would need 3 waves. There's your 3 waves. And then what happens after that? Well, then you get a big 3-wave bounce. See how it goes? That's how it goes. So that's kind of where it is right now. So this is kind of like the more likely view, but there's obviously other views we can look at, but I think more downsides expected. Okay, XLM. I think this was on a live stream we gave earlier, and it's just kind of slowly grinding to our box. As you can see, it's got its own 4s and 5s, and it needs to hold this box. And we've kind of had this box from our last live stream, and I just want to take a look. And this is, again, a bullish 1, 2, 1, 2. What if we break these lows? Well, guess what? This is corrective then. It becomes an ABC off of this peak, and then you do a big W, X, and then Y. And, of course, you break these lows and capitulate. So this box has got risk because you only have 3 waves. It's not high. It's not like it's a very risky area, but it can find support here. So we'll see if it can work out or not. I think that's really all we can say on this. It's just everything's happening according to plan, right? This is what we forecasted. This is what's happening. And now you just have to sit tight and wait it out. All right, UMAC. Likely with the other drone stocks hitting boxes, UMAC found the low here in B. We still think from a structure we need one more push higher, and then that may do it for a long, long time, right? Because look, this is corrective. This is not an impulsive. This is a pump. I want to say pump, like it's a pump stock. So I think it's missing one push higher. Okay, once you get it, it could be over. So this is not one, again, you fall in love with. This is not one, or you'll lose all your money. I promise you probably lose all your money. So this is, again, you can't fall in love with the symbol. You just got to play the pump. So we have the other drone stocks and boxes. This one did not have a box because we did not have a clear connector. If I had to guess, 1, 2, 3, connector, 1, 2, 3. So my guess is that's the connector in a WXY. Right, something like that. That's what I suspect happened here. And we'll see if it can hold. Invalidation. Let's see if there's some invalidation level. Breaking below that level here, that RSI. The bounce is not strong enough. The bounce isn't strong enough. So we said the other stocks in boxes could still go back into the box and be valid. So this actually can still make another low, potentially. You just will kind of mess up the look. Maybe it would turn to a triple. Yeah, you know, looking at it from a 45-minute standpoint, it almost looks like the connector's here in a 5-wave move down. Almost looks like this. Right? And then the connector's here. I think that's what we got to do. See, it's a little tricky, right? It's a little tricky. So if that's the connector, either that's done here, like that, or it's a 1-2. So we assume because the other drone stocks had much clearer boxes, this is the count, and it's done. But we said with the other drone stocks, if we come back and break the low that Thursday low, we want to get out of them because they're likely going to go deeper in their box. And obviously this is likely to push lower as well. And then this turns into a 1-2 and hits the trend line around $9. All right. So I think you guys got to keep a close eye on it. It could be done, but it may still have a little more downside left to go. Okay. LAC. The pullback on LAC is one we've been on the sidelines with. Looks like you have 5 waves up. 3, and again, we're in this bounce. You know, a lot of support at $2.80. I think it easily fills the gap, and then finds support right around $2.80, $2.70, somewhere in there. I think this is a pretty straightforward one. If we break this low, right, then we're in obviously a bearish structure. But when you look from this point of view, it looks 5 waves down here. So I don't think it's gonna. I think has a high likelihood of a swing higher, but I think more pain is coming, which is why we don't. In our group, in our service and channel, we don't trade the B waves, guys. We don't trade, as you know, I always say traders love to trade connector waves, but our group avoids them. We try to avoid them. Sometimes we accidentally get caught in one, and we just have to deal with that. But a lot of times when we see a suckers rally, no matter the time frame, we avoid those. No matter the time frame. And there's been a lot of suckers rallies that people learned they were in last week. We didn't lose any money in any of those, you know, and then we'll go through. I'll point out when I come across which ones those are, but this is another one of these, okay? And so we don't trade this kind of thing. Oh, it was so good, and oh, I'm sure people were on X pounding their chest that they bought calls or whatever here and they got rich. But guess what? We're going to buy it down here, and then we're going to own it for years and not worry about it. The people that buy it here, they can't sleep at night because they're stressed. And I would be too. So we don't trade like that on our channel. We don't have to have constant trades and constant action, right? We're smart about it. So this got a lot of people jammed up. The rare earths have got people jammed up, guys. And it's all this news. Trump, oh, there's no price floor. Oh, no, now there's a price floor. Never mind. Oh, we're going to spend 10 billion. Well, 10 billion is nothing. Oh, okay, then make it 30 billion. Like it's just being whipsawed with news. Like, guys, the charts are telling us that the rare earth, something's broken. And then silver's telling you something's broken, and also on some of the copper stocks. So something's wrong. Something's going wrong. Hive is weird because we only have 3 waves up. Again, it's pretty much been a go to zero play. If you look at the bigger picture, you have a W, an X, right? Let me finish labeling it. A W, an X, and a Y, right? Something like that, something like that. Yeah, I think that's how I'd label it. 3, 3, 3, up in X, and then down in 3, Y. That's what I'm thinking we're going to do. Okay, something like that. Now, we're in the final push lower, right? Problem is, it doesn't look like we're there. Again, I wouldn't entertain even this type of thing. Like, no, I would have no interest in trading this for a long time. Like, what I would rather do is wait, and then wait for a rally, and then buy the pullback. By that time, we'll know crypto's bottomed. We'll see Bitcoin bottom. Oh, you won't get the exact low. Your system sucks. Well, we don't care. We want to buy when it's safe. We only want to buy when it's safe. And if we miss the exact low, so be it. We'll trade between the 30-yard lines. That's okay. I don't care if I missed that. We'll just buy this. We'll just buy this pullback. What if it goes like that? Well, guess what? I'll buy this one. And we'll make all the, like, that's what we do. We do not try to guess. So I think I suspect it's going to move in like an end in diagonal here. And just end like in 3s and 3s and 3s. That's what I think is going to happen. I was going to label it a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think that's too bullish. It doesn't give enough separation. So I think it's something like that. Duolingo. Let's take a look at Duolingo. And I skipped over a question. I'll go back to it after I do Duolingo. Sorry about that. Duolingo was one that we sidestepped ticking time bomb. Right, we were, I think, playing around with it up here in our group because, again, we always assume the trend continues until it doesn't. So we assume the trend continues, and then we were able to leave that trade. And I gave an update. I gave the update right here, and my video is in my archives. You go find it around June, the first week of June. Find it. It's there. And I said the grand super cycle has now ended, and this is going to have an epic collapse. And sure enough, it's did. The next area for a relief rally was down in this general area. We got a pathetic little bounce. It failed, and then we pretty much abandoned it at that point. So now we're looking for 67, and we're using this as our connector in threes. All right, chart support, a ton of chart support right around this here general area. All right, it's not looking good. Okay, we always say on the grand super cycle, some stocks go out of business and go to zero. Right now, software and companies like this, people are worried that AI is going to obsolete these guys. Like I can just spend a weekend and create my own Duolingo program and launch it on the App Store and cut my, and charge half the price. That's what people are afraid of, right? So I read somebody on X created a CRM platform in a week or something, and they basically canceled their CRM contracts using AI. AI. And that's what I read that. Now, again, may not be true, but I read that. That's the kind of shit that's scaring people. Because if that's happening, what company is going to survive that? Some won't. Some won't. Some will, but some won't. Maybe this one won't. Okay, 5 waves on the grand super cycle does not mean you'll get another 5 waves. Unfortunately, this can go to zero. And there's been plenty of stories of stocks that have never recovered from the grand super cycle peak and have gone bankrupt. So just know that there's no guarantee. So I'd be really careful trading a stock like this. Now you have all this overhead resistance, unless you feel really passionate about it. And if you do, great. This is kind of the area where I think you'll get a bounce, even maybe a tradable bounce even. Okay. All right. Going back to the question I missed, please chart a couple stocks here. So I'll just add those real quick. AG. AG is pretty straightforward. And the problem with AG is it ran into resistance. It's all-time high. That's why I kind of drew that line. And of course, it got crushed back through it. So we have 5 waves up and a big 3-wave move down and a running flat. And then we're trying to come up in 5. And I tried to make it as clean as I can. So I think we're in. So I think we're in 4, but this 4 is tricky because you see this 2, right? This implies we go higher. But what we do know from silver itself is the odds of this making another high are probably not likely. So what may happen is either the count is off a little bit here, or we're going to do another 1, 2. It'll go deeper, like 1, 2, 1, 2. So I think that's probably what's going to happen. So I'm going to change this. Instead of a 4, I'm going to make it another 1, 2. And then we're going to look at the RSI to confirm if that's the case or not. All right, obviously we're correct in this whole leg, this whole leg. So we're still in the advance. So, I mean, technically it's a 4. It is still a 4. Now, it could easily turn back into a 1. It could turn into another 2. Let me go take another look here. Yeah, you see how we broke below that? I got to clean this up. I got to be able to see what's going on myself. Yeah, and just kind of clean this up. Yeah, you know, I look at this, it's probably another one here and another two. But you see there's no peak, so it must be in a flat, right? So so I guess I'm going back and forth. So before silver making the lower low, I would have a lot of confidence that's 3 and 4. High confidence. And we make one more high and that's it. But silver making another low. Let me just kind of clean this up a little bit. Kind of look at this a bit closer here. I just want to look at this a little bit closer. Yeah, I mean, yeah, we would label it as 1 2 1 2 1 2 for now. So I'm gonna label it as like a 1 2 1 2 and then another 1 2. Because I got to mirror silver. I don't think this is a 1 2 3 4 5. And then I think this goes lower. Get rid of some of these lines here. See if it can dive back down and stay above this peak. See how they're higher low. That's what the ideal case. Let's look at the daily. The daily can come back down. So I think it's got more downside. Maybe not this much, but I think it's got more downside. Let's look at the SILJ and see if that gives us a better idea where it can go. Yeah, see how the SLIJ made a lower low here? And again, I need to update this as a 1 2 more than likely, not a 4 anymore. Here we didn't make a lower low, but I have a feeling it's gonna do it anyway. So that gets us back down to 1496. That's the worst case. Now if it can whipsaw back up, that will raise our target. It's highly likely that's gonna happen. So I can't really, the only thing I can say is until silver, the metal, finds this low where I showed you earlier, $50, $40, this is likely to have another leg lower. And the question is, what's the overall count? I label it like this. We may have to change it later. Could it be corrective? The worst case scenario? Yeah, you know, it could be corrective. So the worst case scenario for this is 1 2 3 connector 1 2 3, and then this was a B wave. So there's a possibility. There's a possibility that you have 3, and then like I said, 3, and you do a flat, and you come all the way back. I don't know. I don't think it's likely, but still possible. But that'd be pretty bearish. So I think we go with this count for now. If silver didn't make that lower low, I would label this like without hesitation a 4. But I can't. I just can't do it. I just can't do it because I think you know, it's I just don't see it. I just don't see it. Just kind of looking through some of the comments. Thanks, guys. Thanks. Oh, thanks for the website tip. Yeah, you know, try to always look at that about. All right, I'll look at that. Thanks for that. Appreciate that. Just kind of looking through the comments. Okay, so let's go back to AG. Yeah, AG is tough. I may need to look at it more, but from what I can see, the best way to time AG is when SILJ is probably in the box, because they all move together, right? And it isn't. So this is likely to go lower with SILJ. All right, next is FNV. Remember, all these metals and miners are going lower, guys. Okay, they all have broken cycles. So just understand that. They all trade together, essentially. So you need to prepare it. Here's another one. Let's see here. 199, 188. All right, this one looks like a 1-2 here, a 1-2, 3, 4, 5, so 1, 2, something like that. But let me take a look at this structure here. Yeah, it would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it's a big extended fifth wave, more than likely. Because there's no other count that works. Because it doesn't look like a flat here, because I don't really see 5 waves. Only see a 3-wave correction. Only see, well, maybe that's your 4 and 5 right there. So I'll give it, so we'll put the 1 there. Put the 2 there. Then that's your 3 here. Right? So something like that. And then a major cycle peak, right? So that's what we're looking for. Now, it doesn't have to be a crash correction. It can wander around for months. So, but if it were to just go straight down here, but again, you're in the connector wave. So it's the Wild West now. So metals could be in the wild, just going back and forth, erratic for months and months and months, hell, even years. But the level we want to get to eventually is right around here, 188. So that's the chart on this one. Okay, and then GMIN. Probably the same thing. And I know this is kind of like hard, because a lot of the metal investors were really hoping for a bigger run, which will happen, but it's just going to happen later, right? Unfortunately. So that's obviously your 3, and this is a 5, right? This one is very dangerous. Right, look. So we don't have confirmation yet that its major cycle's over. Yeah, it's likely, looking at this a little bit right here, I think we're gonna be a little more bullish on it, not as bearish here. We'll put this as another 1-2. I think it's gonna extend, obviously. Right, it's gonna extend, and so then I would put 3 here. Now, the thing is, like the other I talked, if it goes deeper, it can become another 1-2. It may not be a 4, but the shorter cycle, right? It looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 straight down. We see gold has potentially will make another leg lower with silver. They'll trade together. So more than likely this is going to hit the 36.56, 33.91 at some point. Now, if the connector wave plays around, we could change our target, but I think it's going to double correct because the silver's set up. And we could probably just put that like that for now. But it may be another 1, 2. I don't really chart the move or ICE index. I don't even, I don't do that. So you'll have to, I won't be able to do that. Okay, let's keep going. A few more symbols here that I did have. BTCFX. So this is looking at it from a larger degree perspective now. And you can kind of see, I don't know what's exactly in this fund, if it's just Bitcoin or other things, but just using our system, the target would be right around $4.20. And we're in kind of the meat of the sell-off. So we're looking at this kind of move, something like that, big 3 waves. ETHFX, we know is also here. The crazy thing is you don't even see the subdivisions. So we don't even see a wave 2 yet. So we need to see a 2 and then a 3, 4, 5. So this one it looks like more downside. So these look like they've got more downside coming. And then the target here would be right around $4.97, generally speaking. This one only shows moving in like 3 waves. So this one's very tough. These aren't obviously, I don't know if these are funds or whatever. I think you need to be really careful in these two. FSDX, defense and aerospace, shows we need a 4 and a 5. And then it could peak on its grand super cycle that I have here. Then after that, of course, it would be a big correction in the defense sector. But I think what's going to happen in defense is it's going to raise divergence. So while this is the conventional view, I wouldn't be surprised if either on this pullback, we would get a 1, 2, 1, 2, and then it goes. And then this becomes another 2. So I wouldn't be trying to time the market here. But you can do what's best for you on it. Okay? Palantir, I don't want to cover it because I think that it's going to go lower. And I don't want to get people trapped in a stock that I can't. I only recommend stocks that I would buy myself, and this is not one of them. So that's why I don't. So here you have 3 waves and a connector. The problem is we don't see the subdivisions in Y. Okay, so I suspect we're missing a wave down. But I can't get a level because it's going to break through our bot. So that's why I didn't want to buy it anymore. Yes, it's in our box. It may rally, but there's something wrong with this. There's something that I don't like. It's going to push deeper into this area and perhaps stop out. So I didn't want people to buy it here anymore because of the structure of the wave. Now the other possibility is it's something a little different. And I was thinking of this the other day, that the second wave down is this. And then it does this and goes even lower. And then it becomes something like this. It's even pop. See what I'm saying? So that's the reason I won't recommend it. The structure just doesn't lend itself. Again, I'm nothing personal against Palantir. To me, it's just 4 letters. I could care less. It's just the structure is not clean enough for me to recommend to buy. Now, if you want to buy it, go for it. I'm not going to stop you. But I think if you want, but I think my opinion is of where it is right now is something like this. Okay, that's what I'm thinking right now. It could morph into that 5-wave move and bounce more. Looks like it broke. Something like that. Perhaps we go back and back test this neckline. Obviously, that would be a chart pattern trader short. It's going to be a massive resistance here now. And look, you don't have a lot of chart support. So I think you just got to be careful in it. That's all I'm saying. I think, if you want my opinion, yeah, I think for me, the strongest level of support for this is right here. I wouldn't be surprised if we had to $82 at some point. Right here. All right, that's probably where it's going. How it gets there, probably be very erratic, but that's probably where it's heading. You see that wave 4 cluster? Typically when a chart corrects, it always reverts back to that. So it's likely to head here. Now, it may not just go straight down. It may do this. It could, bounce and do all these things, right? Bounce again. So, but it's more than likely, I think it's going to head here. So then next stock is MOD. All right, what do we got going on here? So it looks like we made this 4 and 5. And then as you can see, it extends. So that's the problem. Always the fifth wave can always extend. And it's doing that. It's doing that. So fifth wave is extending. And that's the problem with trying to use Elliott wave to just trade the count, especially on fifth waves. So now you have this strong push higher. So now you're in, you'll need a 4 and a 5. So this has got more upside. Now the question is, did it erase divergence? It did. So this became another 1-2 right here. You see what happens? That's why it's so hard to top tick and time the market. Like you have to just, be really careful. You have to wait for the trend to really break down. So this is going into an extension. Look at all the upside left to come. Massive amount of upside. Right. So this is like a stock, that's good to trade. So buy any dip in 3 waves should be bought. And we even have another 3 over here we've ignored. So this looks like it has perhaps months, years of gains coming. Okay. That's what happens here. Now, what was interesting is on this pullback, I'll probably put that 4 there just to be technically correct, something like that. So, I only see maybe the first 3 coming to an end soon. Okay, I would say this looks pretty good. I think it's too big for a flat. It doesn't have the right look for a flat. Even and it's too extended. This is a major breakout in this company. So regarding silver, does it make a difference in the charting if the lows occurred after hours, the lows occurred overnight? I don't use the after hour data because it's just I've never used it in my system. Some people use it, some people don't. I have my own reasons why I don't use it because the market's not really liquid. You don't get true price discovery after hours. It can be manipulated by even small players. I mean, there have been times on small stocks that I've been able to move the price personally on stocks after hours, small cap stock. I mean, so you got to understand, like, hell, I want the chart to break a pivot. Okay, I'll just sell it and manipulate. Like, if at my little level, I'm a little peon and I can move. What do you think the big hedge funds can do? So to me, the data after hours is irrelevant noise that just gets in the way, and it doesn't represent true price discovery, in my opinion. It just represents it's its own market. So I don't use it, but other traders, saying that, I think it's sacrilegious to say like oh my gosh, it's blasphemy. How could you? You're so stupid. Well, that's fine. I don't use it. So with silver, right? With silver, we use the data that we have, right? And now that the market here with these commodities is different than the stock futures. So I got to make that distinction. So yes, this trades during the future hours, but this is trading, trades over a different market. It's not, it's different. So this is the commodities market. I'll use that data, right? Because you can't even get rid of it. Like TradingView, right? You can't, I always will have this data on here for commodities. It's stocks I don't, because you can't, commodities you can't move. Like again, unless you're like JP Morgan, maybe you can move silver and crush it, but that's true. To me that's price discovery. It's 24 hours. So I think commodities I allow it, and maybe I don't have like a good logical reason, but I do. And stocks I don't. Individual stocks I don't. I don't use it. So that's how it is. That and that's what I do. Okay. Yeah, I think silver will have a hard time. If it goes into 40s, it's gonna wick back. It's gonna wick back. It will be like there for seconds. That's my guess. All right. ARK, AKRBP. I'm not sure what this is, but okay. All right. Looks like you have 3 waves. And you're making you need one more wave up on this chart, right? And then it's gonna I think I have it doing a double correction for some reason. Yeah, how we bottomed. So yeah, it's likely to go lower. So you're just gonna have to hang out and wait. Now this Y can push. You know, we don't know like the extent of the Y wave, but it's not likely this is the low. What I do like is this higher high. So this is a tough one because I hate time in the market with a stock so bullish, but I just give you my chart, you know, my what I think is going to happen. So yeah, I'm going to go with this view and then another 3 waves down. Okay, and then Indo's basically playing planning for a war with Iran. That seems what makes it move, and also crude, but more with Iran news seems to. So our chart on Indo looks something like this, and a big flat. And what you want to see is this 5, not erase divergence. Okay. So you want to see bullish divergence. If you erase divergence, this becomes a 1-2, 1-2, and it goes deeper. Ultimately, it needs to stay above 256. Okay? So that's the test that's coming for it. It's pretty straightforward. We hope that it would, it holds that low, and we'll just kind of hang tight and see what happens. Okay? Yeah, AMC is trying to flirt with a major low, and that would be a massive pump. But it's not. I don't think it's ready yet, but it may do that. But that will be this like Russell. When the Russell does 3 of 3, you're going to have another meme stock mania in the market for the last time, maybe in our generation. But then the grand super cycle will end. So I think AMC will participate in that. Rio, like FCX, is kind of jammed up in a correction, more than likely. And taking that high out is good. So we're just going to kind of label it from like a 1, 2. And you want it from the ASX, so let me do that. Guess it looks a little different. No, not that. So looks like it's extended. Very different chart compared to the ADR. And then this looks like even that erased the verse. So yeah, it's in so it's got a couple paths. It's either red, it's this. It's just like massive explosion, like the most bullish move possible, 3 of 3, like just like I have charted here. Or it's a rug pull on a flat off of this peak, but it's too extended, so I don't think so. So I think we just label it what we have in front of us. So obviously buying it on the ASX is probably the way to buy this thing. Yeah, so this cycle's coming to an end soon. All right, so you probably have some 4s and 5s to come. Would I be surprised if it does this and then has another deep pullback and it makes another 1 2 1 2? I wouldn't be surprised if it does that. Okay. Okay, then beyond. For me, the reverse splits and stuff won't change the way I factor it in. I know some people think that it won't change the chart. The chart's the chart. It will just the scale will change, but the look will still be the same. So we're still looking for X and may actually have a short opportunity here. I get it right. Maybe around 80 cents in this little box, like 80 cents, 78 cents, 80. So 78, 7, 83 cents potential short area on a three-way bounce. And then that's what I would be playing for that downside move. It's kind of a tight little window, and that's your connector just right in there. HIMS. So HIMS is playing out just like we've expected on our channel. Another one we've pretty much sidestepped and we anticipated. Remember this pump? We remember that pump like it was our last week, and I told my members that pump would fail and fade, and it sure as heck did. And now, what did you say after hours? Yeah, they said they're going to stop the GLP-1s. So it's going into a box. So I think you're going to get capitulation on Monday, right? If it breaks, I would say if it goes below $10 though, that's too big. That's too big of a dump. Okay, I would stay away from it at that point. But if you've been dreaming about buying it, now's your time to buy it. And trend line is right around 13. You know, maybe you're going to tag that trend line again. So right in there. And see if we see any really big chart support. Yeah, $13, $12. So I would look for 13 bucks, 12 bucks, something like that. If it's really gapping down, but that's a good flush. That's a capitulation kind of move, and that's exactly what major lows are made out of. So good, and I'm glad we waited. It's also one of the most shorted stocks out there, right? It's in the heavily shorted basket, so eventually those shorts are going to want to cover. All right, so good luck, guys, on that one if you're playing it. Okay. Thanks, appreciate that. Then let's see here. I got a super chat with no question in it. Let me see if I can find the question somewhere in here. Well, we'll come back to it. Maybe I'll see the question later. It's from S Spam Dumpster. I don't see your question. So maybe I'll get to it in a minute as I keep going. All right. Thanks, guys, for the positive feedback and love my videos. I appreciate that. So you have Elite, Pro, and Basic. Which plan can I expect trade ideas and how often? So we only show the trade ideas when they meet our criteria. So some groups get a lot of action sometimes, some don't, and it varies depending on the situation within the marketplace. I would say, though, Elite obviously gets the most because we cover almost essentially every sector, and I try to pull out the stocks that are trending, that have trends and complete trends, or look like they have more upside or downside, and we watch those more carefully and have like a representation of the market overall. And then when they have boxes, I put those out and people can review them and decide for themselves. I never tell you to take a trade. I don't make that decision for you. You have to make that. And I present a list of ideas, and some of them work and some of them don't. But the ones that work, boy, do they work. They usually really work. And that's why the system survives, because the winners go up a significant amount of money. The losers we cut short with very minimal loss or small loss because of how our strategy of where we buy them. But anyway, you can once you join, you can have access to all the videos since I think started my channel, so you could see for yourself. And I think I was the only one back in February 9th or 10th when I started my channel that predicted the Dow collapse, and that happened in April. Everyone now says they predicted it, but they weren't. Trust me, no one on the internet predicted that but me. And my videos are there to prove it, and I had the levels to back it up. That's why I have all the members that join me. So just remember, understand, we don't get them right, but we only trade when the market gives us the opportunity. Sometimes we have to wait a long time. Like HIMS, I think we've been waiting. I think we called this path in HIMS since December. So we've, you had to wait 2 months to get to the box. So it takes a while sometimes even longer. Chipotle, almost a year, maybe. We had to wait a year to get Chipotle until it got to a box. CRM, I think it's another one we've waited over a year for, and we're still waiting. So sometimes we have to wait a long time, but the wait's always worth it. The wait's always worth it. All right, BMNR. All right, so probably put that X there. Looks like 5 waves down. Yep. Something like this. So again, it's tough here because it could be a 4, but it could also be another 1 too. That's the only problem. That's the only problem. I could put a 4. We can look at some of the RSI. We did erase divergence already. That's good. Maybe I could be a 3 and 4. Yeah, all right. I'll label it. I'll give it the benefit of the doubt. So we're going to call this a 4 for now. Okay. We'll give it the benefit of the doubt for now. Okay. But just be careful. It can still be a 2. So a lot of chart support right around this area, $16, probably right where the 5 will go. So yeah, I have a feeling it should be getting close. Okay, something like that, and then that should do it, hopefully, because I know it's been a painful. I mean, geez, it was all the way up to $162. What a collapse, biblical collapse there. Okay, guys, appreciate it. Oh, thanks. Hey, thanks for helping out, Pumpkin Eater. I will look at the memory stocks. It's funny, I don't get asked about the memory stocks too much on our live stream, but we did get asked one time, and I remember STX, and someone on our group made a lot of money on that live stream because we got that one right. MU's probably finished a major top in 5. Well, let's go back and verify everything. So you see the bearish divergence. So we know it's a 5 of some sort. And the divergence a little bit here. just a little bit. So it's enough that, again, we don't get too orthodox about these things. It's enough. Now, what's interesting is we're still on trend. So, I mean, there's a chance it could still extend, as crazy as it sounds. It could still extend. But I think once you break 363.52, it's over, right? It's over. Then what happens next? Well, we have to take a more conventional view. It will be a wave 4, not another 1-2. Now, we know it could become another 1-2. That means it goes all the way back down to like 200, down into the 200s. That it can happen, okay? We haven't even taken out that peak yet. So we're going to call it a 4. Okay, it's going to be called a 4. And can the 4 be done here? No. So I can't guarantee. So again, it can easily extend 5, but if we can break this low, we can have a box. And then we would put wave 4 there. $304,282. So this is a box in Micron. Okay, there's a box in Micron right here. So Micron, if it can double correct, this would be a crash correction, shallow. This would mean bloodbath next week. That would be the setup. It may, again, it could happen like that, but the problem is you're in the connector wave. Connector wave can rally, right? But the other issue, like I said, is it could be done and you could still push in 5. So it has a lot of options. I'm just showing you a hypothetical scenario. There's no guarantee that anything like this could happen. But if it were to come back and break the low, this is the setup. And then I would label it 3 and 4. But in absence of that, I mean, you have to assume it's starting another cycle higher off of the low. So it's still corrective. So it's kind of 50-50. I think this late in the cycle, I probably wouldn't be messing with it. More than likely, it's coming down to this box, no matter what happens. That's what I think. But it hasn't happened yet. But once you break the low, it opens up the door. All right, SNDK. Let's see here. Probably obviously some kind of 3 as well. Yeah, we're right on support. If we break through that support, then we're correcting the whole leg. Yeah, it looks like we're correcting that whole leg. So something like this. So you, again, like Micron, it can go either way. So like Micron, it's a 4. This one is a 4. It has correct. So the 4 could be over. It could be done. We could be going for another high. If we come back and break this low, it will double correct and give an opportunity to go long at around 455, 417. Now, that probably won't be 4 anymore. It'll be another 1-2. 1-2, 1-2, if that happens. So I would expect this is the more conventional view, like more likely view. But if we do see a double correction, we would probably come to this box, and then we'd have to more than likely label it as another like a 1-2 and another 1-2. See how the peak in 3 is so early here? So there's another way to label this. This is the more like likely view. We could say 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay. Now you see if I do that, look, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Well, then the whole thing's over, right? Grand super cycle's over. But it hasn't been confirmed. Once you break 558.49, then it's confirmed. That view would require that label. But the reason I didn't label that is this peak is so far down in the advance. Typically, the wave 3 is kind of in the meat of the move, somewhere in this general area, and it isn't. But you see how you're building? My guess is that's going to come later. That's why I'm more bullish on it. We also are still on this trend line, the grand supercycle trend line. Let's look at this one. Way, and see, we're about to take out that peak. I think this is to count for it. I think this is to count for now. Okay. I wouldn't be surprised if I have to come back and label another 1, 2. Like a 1, 2 and a 1, 2. I would recommend thinking about buying it in this area if it does that. Here it's kind of speculative, right? There was a box here, but it's gone. The opportunity came and went. Actually, it went too deep for a box. See how it pierced the box? So that's likely implies another leg lower is coming. Okay, so there's an opportunity there in SNDK, potentially, if it happens. All right, and then WDC. It's interesting, no one's ever asked us this one on our live stream. Another one that's pretty much just gone vertical. A 1, 2, 1, 2 setup. So anytime you get all these 1s and 2s, it creates the biggest pumps. And that's what happened here. You don't even have, I mean, you can't even see the subdivisions in 3 properly. So that's probably the first 3 right here. Looks a little like Micron. I think that's going to peak at any moment. So something like that's coming. And again, you have these 4s and 5s. So, I mean, when you look at these stocks, they don't look like they're like peaked in their grand super cycle by Elliott wave count. I think that's one thing. Yeah, that one's probably topped at any moment, any second, like Micron. And then you have a pullback coming. But it's not confirmed yet. But I think it is. I think it's about to happen. All right, and then the next one is STX. This one we did for a live stream. I remember we gave a box at 72, and somebody's very happy. This is an example too of divergence being erased, as you can see, because when we did the count, we were thinking wave 5. We were like, okay, one more wave higher. This is like what everyone dreams of happening, right? And then it turns into obviously another 1, 2. But this setup was given on our live stream. This one looks a little different than the others. This one looks like the juice may be out of the, the orange, all squeezed out. Maybe right there you have peaked, so maybe it's got a little more upside. Yeah, one more like on the, I think this one has a little more upside on the cycle. But then I'm out of waves. So I'm out. So I'm all out of waves. Now we have seen it can erase again. It can erase divergence, and this can become another one too, and just keep going. We know that. I wouldn't be afraid to buy it in 3 waves either. But let's look at this pullback in 3. Yeah, you know what? We need to change that. That's better. That's the right view. And that aligns with the others. So something like that. Okay. So I would just say the story of the memory stocks is buy the dip in 3 waves. The upside isn't finished, but a correction is imminent or has already started even. Okay. All right. Hut. That was one we've did pretty well on our channel. We got the 5 waves. We even called the pullback. And we're not quite at our target yet for a pullback. Looks like it's jammed up in a flat. Highly unlikely it's finished, right? So it's probably jammed up in some kind of flat. Something like that is what I'm thinking. Now, we know it could end here. This could become W. We could get X and Y if 2 goes on and becomes more elaborate. So this is just kind of more of a classical like look of what it could do. But I really think we come back down to this area here. This would be too shallow given where the sector is. And then, but as you know, we've talked about this. You'll have 3 down. You only have 3 up. So this move may never come back to these highs. Now, we think it will. Now, what would be good is if you did finish this, and you could make one more high. Because then we would have an impulse, right? Then you would have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then you would correct and then go higher. That's kind of what you're really hoping for. So that's why I'm saying we're kind of in no man's land right here. I think based on where the sector, the market may head, I wouldn't be surprised if it goes lower. But if maybe it can get a bigger relief rally, perhaps that will allow that to make a 5th wave. And then you can correct later. So that's kind of where it is right now. So yeah, I'll just label it what we have in front, right, what we see right now. All right. Short TLT. I think TLT's got more downside coming. That's probably going to help bring the market lower as interest rates rise. So we're jammed up in this. This looks like some kind of triangle: A, B, C, D, E. Yeah, I think it goes lower, but yeah, maybe that's the B. Maybe put the B there. But yeah, I think it goes lower. How low is going to be tough call, and maybe I'm thinking something like this. The invalidation level is 92.25. I think bonds are close to making that kind of move down. 1, 2, 3, 5 up. So it's some kind of running flat connector. So we'll just, like I said, we'll just see what happens next week. See if this happens next week or not. Yeah, MU I'd be worried about a little bit topping. The other ones is tricky. Those other stocks I showed. Yeah. ASPI. Let's take a look. So we had this Y finished, and then it made another swing higher. That's always good. And that's what we would have expected because it was 5 up. Looks like we made an impulse off that low, that high. So it looks like we have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's look at the 4-hour. Maybe we put that there. And it's a flat. Yeah. Get rid of this. So looks like it's in a flat. So it could have been finished there, but you broke the low. So we know it's going to extend lower. Yeah. Get rid of that. So I think it's got extension. It's got a lower low here. Right there. And that sets you up for this kind of push lower that I'm showing. And it looks like it's correct in the yeah, I guess you call that like a lead-in, some kind of lead-in diagonal. Ugly looking wave, but that's what the wave, that's how we're gonna go with it. I don't know if we can really get a box on this. It's too extended. It'd just be too far down. So I think the only way to know, you're just gonna have to follow the wave down, and at some point watch the reversal sign. Watch the RSI break at the downtrend. Like it tried to do it here, but it looks like obviously it failed. So once the RSI crosses over, then probably the correction's done. So it's probably in a correction until that happens. So something like that. All right, and then okay, there it is. Yeah, so now I got the super chat. Yeah, I didn't see that. Okay, HYMC. This was another one on our live stream we pretty much got. All right, let's take a look. 1, 2, 3, 4. Obviously that's popped, right? I mean, I think it's pretty clear. So we're in this 4 wave. Now, what we do know about this stock is there may never be a 5. There's no guarantee for a 5. This could be just a big pump. It may never come back here. We don't know that. We did see the lower low like the rest of the sector. It does show more downsides likely. Now, what we may see, I think right now, because of the bounce was so strong here, we're going to label it as a WXY. And this is like the more conventional view. This can chop around here for a long time, but I'm just showing you kind of the direct path with the level. If it goes there in the next week or two, great. If it doesn't, we'll have to look at it again and update our chart with the new information. So looking for 22.27, and I think I'll be too deep for a 4. So you'd probably be looking at another 1, 2. But I would update this. I would change this to a 3-wave move. Something like that. I'll change it to a WXY, moving in 3s. So we'll look for that, but like I said, this connector can do a lot of different things, but it does have the lower low, which implies and like lower, but the whole sector has this look. Most of the stocks have this look in the sector. Okay. So, all right, guys, I think I covered everyone's questions. I appreciate calling in. I think I scanned through. How do I draw the boxes? Well, boxes are a Fibonacci extension. Like here, I just take the Fibonacci tool, right? And what I'm doing is I'm just making an equal distant move, like from 0 to the 100 level. And then I'm just projecting the same distance from the point down. And then you get your box, right? And get your box. And I probably didn't line it up right. I must have missed that wick. So let me fix this box. I'm doing it being more precise. So it's 2081. See, the box is the extension. It's the equal distant extension for W and X. It's kind of the measured move. Some people call it. Some people call it equal legs. Whatever you want to call it, it's the same distance. So that's the 20. And then we know that because it's a third wave, right? 1, 2, 3. The third wave extends typically, and it can extend all the way to 2, 3, 6, or even 6, 1, 8 from this wave. It's not common, but if it goes further than that, well, then it's usually something much more bearish and much deeper. And it always usually implies a double correction or something, a crash. So you have to, and you define your risk. So typically a corrective structure shouldn't go deep in the box to begin with, but we have to define our risk. And then when it goes too far, well, then it's maybe going to turn into an impulse. A 5-wave move, and a correction typically can't end on a 5-wave move, a 3-wave move. So that's kind of the idea behind the box. And that's what we wait for. Okay, that's what we wait to hit and how we project it. All right. Okay, guys, that's all I've got tonight. I appreciate everything. And if for some reason if I miss somebody's symbol, you can just send me a message on X, and I'll